guys, welcome back to Buzztober. We are on day 24. Holy cannoli, we have made it to day 24. That's crazy. Okay, so first things first, what do I usually talk about first? Oh, I got like a 6-pack of this beer, so I know I just drank it in the last episode, but I'm probably gonna drink it in the next one too. I'm just vibing with the beers right now because it's pumpkin and it's pumpkin season, so, you know. Oh, the other thing I usually talk about is the shirt. So this is actually another alcohol that I sell. So it's a vodka brand that has actually grown a lot of popularity in the Orlando area, which is where I live. It's actually the Well vodka of Disney. It's from Poland, it's gluten-free, it's award-winning, it's absolutely fantastic. Super, super clean, no additives or anything funky like that. So if you're gonna be staying at one of the Disney resorts or at the Disney parks, this is the official Well vodka. So if you ask them to put it as your drink, like, you're super smart, you're likely gonna feel less bad the next day because there's no additives and you'll look like a pro. Also, if you live, I don't know, like if you ever go to the Mills 50 area, all those bars, like a bunch of them have it as their Well vodka as well. So give it a shot. If you're a vodka person, I think you'll really like it. So all good stuff. So yeah, that's the t-shirt. Okay, so what I'm gonna do for this episode is I found a list of the stories under the Let's Not Meet subreddit, and someone compiled all of this. Who's the person? Avid Traveler 123. They compiled a list of a bunch of great Let's Not Meet stories. If you don't know what Let's Not Meet is, I'm gonna have to see what these stories say. Essentially, this is like scenarios where people share stories about a bad encounter that they've had. It could be funny, it could be terrifying. Most of them are pretty scary and they're true stories, and it's essentially someone that you would never want to see again in your entire life. Like, think of the worst thing that's happened to you, and if it is related to someone who has done something wrong to you, that would be an example of Let's Not Meet. Or let's say you went on a crazy date and something really bad happens, or he was really insulting or something. It's like, let's not meet again. So we'll have to see what these stories are gonna be like because I haven't read these before. So I found one that said I was home alone, and it says it's long, so if this is the only story I read, I apologize. Oh, it's not too bad. Okay, we're probably gonna get in more than this. Okay, so this one, once again, it's under the Let's Not Meet subreddit. Just as an FYI, typically with these, I give like trigger warnings. I don't know what these are gonna be, but there's a specific disclaimer with this one that says not suitable for work. So just FYI. I mean, if you're listening to this at work, I want your job. That's wild. I was home alone. I've been on Reddit for about 2 years now, but I just found this subreddit. After reading a few of the top posts, I realized that what happened this summer to me is perfect to fit here. I haven't written anything in a long time, so sorry if this isn't the most articulate post. This fucked me up for a while, and I'm still not completely okay, but it's easier to cope. I was in the middle of summer and my parents had left for the weekend to go to our house in Cape Cod. It's about a 2-hour drive away, so it's no big deal for them to leave me alone for a few days. My mom made some pulled pork and pasta for me to heat up whenever, and I had some money if I wanted to order a pizza. Things were all good. The first night I was alone, I stayed up until 3 in the morning playing Xbox, so I woke up really late the next day. I checked my phone when I woke up and saw it was a little past 1. I had made plans to play some street hockey with my friends at 3, so I threw myself out of bed and stumbled into the shower. I take really long showers, so when my parents are gone, I go mental. I was in there for about 45 minutes on my phone, scrolling through Reddit and Twitter and whatnot, when I heard my front door open. Why is that scaring me so bad? Oh God, okay. The bathroom is directly above the stairs from the back door, and the thing is pretty loud when it opens and closes. I immediately froze, since obviously I was supposed to be alone. I waited for about 2 minutes, ears trained and trying to hear anything else. Nothing. I figured it was just the wind or maybe my parents were home early, so I turned off the shower, wrapped myself in a towel, and slowly walked down the stairs to check it out. So the stairs to the kitchen, where the back door is pretty tight and walled in. So it's essentially like walking down a tighter version of this, but replacing the rail with a wall. So I can't see into the kitchen when I walk down. Even though my house is old as shit and each step on the stairs makes a super loud creak, I still took my time and tried to be as quiet as possible. I probably took 45 seconds walking down all 12 of the stairs. So when I got to the second to last stair, right before I could see around the corner into the kitchen, I took a little breath to compose myself. In my mind, I knew I was being stupid. There obviously wasn't anything in the kitchen. There's no way I would have heard another noise, and there's no reason for them to still be in the kitchen, even if there were burglars or something in the house. After sort of mentally chastising myself for being a wuss, I sort of chuckled to myself for being so stupid and just normally walk the last 2 stairs and turn the corner into the kitchen. This next line is like really freaking me out. I'm really scared. I'm really scared. I'm really scared. Standing about 2 feet away from me in the middle of the kitchen, a man is staring straight at me, perfectly still with a massive smile across his face, just staring at me. The thing I remember most vividly wasn't his face or his smile, but his arms. They weren't just at his side. He held them in the strangest, most abnormal position I've ever seen. They were where one would normally hold their arms, but he had rotated them to the point where they were almost completely reversed, as well as lifting them up and a little behind himself. I don't know why I remembered this so much, but it's just the most demonic, abnormal position I've ever seen. Honest to God, I think I almost had a heart attack right there. Looking back, I can realize how fucking creepy the situation was, but in the moment, I just took a step towards him and punched him as hard as I could in the jaw, sort of half slapping, pushing him towards the ground. The second I connected, I beelined up the stairs, dropping my towel in the kitchen with my heart beating out of control. I fucking sprinted into my room and locked the door behind me. I quickly put a chair up against the doorknob like you see in TV. Almost without thinking, I immediately called 911 and nearly in tears told the operator what happened. I keep looking into my phone because I also am recording myself on my phone because I can see behind me and I'm just like terrified. Okay. As I sat on the floor of my room in practically the fetal position, staring at the door, praying that a cop would be there soon, I noticed the light coming from the gap between my door had stopped. The fucker was standing outside of my door. There's no words to describe the feeling I had. I was paralyzed with fear, watching the shadow across the bottom of the door shift in tiny ways. I stayed balled up staring at the gap, praying the man would go away for what seemed like an hour. All the while, the 911 operator was asking, "Hello, sir? Sir, are you there? Hello?" I didn't want to make a noise, and even if I wanted to move my arms to bring the phone up to my mouth, I don't think I could have. Eventually, the light returned to the gap, and I heard the faintest of footsteps, slowly creaking the wooden floorboards as he walked down the hall. It was silent for minutes as I just sat there curled up, unable to speak. I heard banging on the front door and the sound of 2 officers entering my house. I finally felt safe, and I opened the door to the 2 of them standing there. I almost cried. Nowadays, my parents don't even leave me home alone anymore, thank God, and I check every lock on the house before going to bed. I still get nightmares occasionally, and my heart starts racing whenever I see someone standing still, but I'm doing all right, even working with sketch artists and a few lineups. Oh. Okay, one of my best friends does comedy. I thought they were implying even working with sketch artists. Like, I'm so fucking stupid. I thought they were saying like, this is like therapeutic for me. I started doing like sketch comedy. I'm so stupid. Okay. Oh, oh my God. Okay. Sorry. No, this person means like sketch drawings, like a sketch artist to find the criminal that was in his house. Okay. Sorry. Even working with sketch artists and a few lineups, the police never found whoever the fuck was in my house. That sends shivers down my spine every time I look outside, half expecting to see him standing across the street smiling under a lamppost. I have no idea what he wanted or who he was, but regardless, let's not meet again. Oh my fucking God. I am terrified right now. I am not into this. Like, I'm gonna read a couple more stories, but I am like not well right now. Okay, we are gonna read the next story. So maybe I'll do like 3. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. Okay, this next one is another Let's Not Meet story, and this was written in by Literate Pump, and it is entitled The Woman on My Porch. When I was about 10 or 11 years old, I shared a room with my older brother, who was around 15. We live in a suburb area in New York. Not the greatest area, but not riddled with crime. There are 2 windows in my room, one that overlooks the backyard and one that connects to the front porch. It came in quite handy for my brother to sneak out and meet with his friends. If you step out the window, you are on the porch, so anyone on the porch can access the window. I was never bothered by that thought because, quite honestly, it had never crossed my mind. My bed was touching this window while my brother's bed was perpendicular to mine. It was an odd setup, but that's besides the point. Now, this was before we had any sort of smartphone or laptop to keep ourselves occupied, So on nights when we weren't sleepy, we would stay up talking to each other and making up dumb games to pass the time. That's cute. I like that. This event took place during the summer. We stayed up into the late hours of the night. Perks of having no school. It was probably around 2 a.m. and eventually we're playing a game where one of us was a goalkeeper and the other was taking a shot. Football, soccer terms. We would both say at the same time either left, center, or right. If the goalkeeper guessed the same as the one taking the shot, he would get a point. And if the person taking the shot said a position other than what the goalie said, they got a point. We went for a couple rounds of this and I was beating his ass at it, even though that's irrelevant. I don't remember what round we were on, but we did our 3, 2, 1 countdown. My brother, the goalkeeper, said left. I, the shooter, said center. The voice from outside the porch window said left. Me and my brother froze. We had the shade down, but my mom had left the porch light on, so that was the only light illuminating our room. The dim porch light coming in from the borders of the shade. At the time, in my house was my mother on the opposite side of the house, my sister one room over, and my dad in the basement, and me and my brother shitting our pants practically. We waited for what seemed like an hour, but was probably only 30 to 45 seconds, and we heard a giggle and a playful knock at the window. "Let's go another round, come on boys," the voice said in a cheerful, playful tone. Honestly, I want to say it was a scary voice and sounded menacing, but it didn't. It sounded like a woman, not too old, but not too young. It was just normal. Like a normal sounding voice, nothing off about it besides where it was coming from and the time it came. Me and my brother were seriously freaked out and I was about to break down because of how close I was to this woman. The thought that all I had to do was lift the shade and I'd be face to face with this person scared the shit out of me. It made me go as still and as stiff as if I had looked into Medusa's eyes. After a while of me and my brother not responding, my brother started slowly moving from his bed to the door as to not make any noise. As my brother was tiptoeing to the door, the sound of nails being dragged down a window started. It was very slow from top to bottom. At that point, my brother made it to the door. He looked back at me and brought his finger to his lip, gesturing for me to keep quiet. Once the nails stopped running down my window, I heard her light footsteps make her way off my porch and disappear. I laid there for an eternity, not moving until my brother returned, and I saw my mom move hastily by the door, making her way to the front door. The porch light flipped off, and I was left in the darkness with my brother, waiting in the doorway for my mom's return. I heard my mom call my dad up the stairs and his groggy, annoyed footsteps coming upstairs. They talked, then came in me and my brother's room, and we relayed what happened. Apparently, my mom caught sight of the lady turning out of our driveway, on foot, behind some tall bushes, thank God. We had a long driveway, otherwise my mom would probably have thought we were crazy. Considering no harm was done besides leaving me terrified of my window, my parents didn't call the police. What? They just thought it was really weird and stayed up the rest of the night to make sure she didn't return. I'm 17 now. My brother is in college, so I have the room to myself. My bed still touches the window because I'm too lazy to move the rest of the furniture in my room so I can move my bed. The shade to that window has not been opened since that incident and probably never will be. I want to die. No, I don't. I don't want to die. I'm just really scared. So this next one is entitled The Mask, and it was written in by Every Drop. This encounter had happened to me a while ago. I couldn't share it for a long time. For some background, I live in the country in Ohio. Down a long drive, fields on two sides, woods in the back. I'm about a mile away from town, so if I need the police, I have to call the sheriff. I live with my husband and Boxer. I don't know if you mean a dog, like a boxer, or if you're saying your husband is a boxer. I guess we'll find out. The night this happened, my husband was getting some overtime at his factory. It was a Saturday and he was working third shift. I had spent the evening at my parents' house and didn't head home until around midnight. I stopped in town at our 24-hour gas station to get some drinks and chocolate and beef jerky for my dog. Okay, so dog. Now we've established the husband is not a boxer. It's the dog. As I exit the gas station, I get this feeling that's so strong, I just had to look around because I knew someone was outside with me. Over to my left, about 20 feet away, is a girl in a really cute little dress with a white horse mask on it. Just standing there. We stared at each other for a minute before I hopped into my car and quickly pulled out onto the road, almost hitting a light pole as I belatedly checked my back seat for danger. That was unnerving, but I was home just a few minutes later giving Alizé jerky and eating chocolate and watching TV. All of a sudden, my dog takes off down the hall to the back porch, barking and growling and attacking the window. I run in there, afraid a window is going to get broke again. Alizé broke a window trying to get a coyote once already, and I stopped dead in my tracks. There, standing at the window, is a horse mask. Again, we stared at each other. I looked over to the back door. Was it locked? Shit, I couldn't remember. Horse mask looks over at the door. Slowly, I walk over to it. So does horse mask. We both reach for the knob. It was locked. Horse mask looks behind her, and for the first time, I look around my backyard. There is a guy in a horse mask too. I'm like, okay, this is enough. I'm calling the cops. I got Alizé and shut the door to the porch, and we went to the living room to get my cell phone. Of course, I left my phone in the car when I carried my stuff in the house. In my car, that's in my garage. My dark garage. Basically lacking any choice, I opened the door to the garage and tried to open my car door, but oh, guess what? I must have locked it and didn't have the keys. I crept back into the house, no sign of Alizé. No horse mask in the backyard that I could see from the kitchen window. I grabbed my keys and got the phone. I called the sheriff and I told him what happened, and I was followed home and alone. They asked if they were still outside. I looked out of the windows room by room. Nothing. Until I got to my front yard. Right out front, there they were, just standing about 100 feet away holding hands, staring. I honestly was crying at this point to the dispatcher, who assured me someone would be there soon. As I stood there, clearly on the phone, the girl waved. Then they walked hand in hand down my lane, out of sight. It took the sheriff 10 minutes to get there. They found nothing. Told me the guy probably sat in a car and they followed me. Just kids being kids, they said. My dog didn't come out of my bedroom for the rest of the night. I sat up listening to silence until my husband got home. A couple weeks later, someone from the sheriff's office stopped by to follow up. They said they checked the camera at the gas station, but all it shows is the girl walk up to the dumpsters and stand there until I left. And she walks away. Okay. Okay, let's read another one. So this one is called One Decision, and it's written in by dreams_child. When I was a teenager, I was goth. Black hair, black clothes, black makeup, even a pair of combat boots. My friends and I, in typical goth fashion, hung out at the local cemetery. We started going as a joke, but soon discovered we liked the peace we found there. That all changed one night. My friend called to see if I wanted to hang out, and I did. None of our other friends were available. They were either working or recovering from partying the night before, so we were on our own. My friend picked me up and we drove to the cemetery. We were hanging out, smoking cigs, and BSing about the latest issues she was having with her boyfriend. When we noticed at the top of the hill we were on, about 100 feet away, a bonfire had been lit. You have to understand that this cemetery is about a block off campus, a major university, and it's not uncommon for college students to go there to party. My friend and I sighed, knowing that we would have to get going soon. It was illegal to be in the cemetery after dark, and we knew the police would show up because some jerks had decided they needed a bonfire. We decided to finish our cigs and then take off. Just then, the most horrible stench came wafting down the hill from the direction of the bonfire. My friend gagged and covered her mouth. I groaned and said, "What the hell?" My friend shook her head, saying, "I don't know what they're doing, let's just leave." We got in the car, and one of us suggested, I honestly don't remember who, maybe we should just go up and see what they're doing. My stomach turned and a cold shiver went through my body. My friend must have had the same feeling at the same time. We both said, no, we should leave. My friend turned the car on, switched on her headlights, put the car in reverse, and looked over her shoulder before starting to back up. I was still looking up the hill. A figure stepped in front of the bonfire. I could only see a silhouette, but I was sure whoever it was watching us. A feeling of terror hit me and I said, "Go, go, go, go," getting louder and more panicked with each word. My friend looked back up the hill for a second, and just as the figure took a step towards us, she slammed on the gas and peeled out, going in reverse down the hill. She rammed the gear shift into drive and we were out. We didn't say anything for a while until she said, "What the hell were they burning?" I shook my head. I don't know. She dropped me off at home and I went to bed. The next morning I woke up and went out to the kitchen. My mom was there drinking her morning coffee and I joined her. We talked about her job for a bit when she suddenly comes out with, "Did you hear what happened last night?" I shrug and say no. I had just gotten up. She tells me that a woman she worked with was kidnapped from the parking garage. "Oh my God," I said. "Did they find her?" "Yes, but too late," she replies. Whoever took her had raped and murdered her. They found her this morning up in the cemetery, had tried to dispose of the body in a bonfire. I froze. My brain was going a mile a minute, the realization slowly creeping up. That's what the smell was. Needless to say, I never hung out at that cemetery at night again. I think back to our decision to leave instead of investigating the fire. That one decision could have changed everything. Dark silhouette in the bonfire? Let's not meet. Okay, I just don't have much to say because I'm just really scared. But this is good because it's supposed to be scary, right? I'm sorry, I'm a freak. Okay, let's read 1 to 2 more. Well, this is gonna scare me, but that's okay. Okay, this next one is entitled In the Hills, No One Can Hear You Cry. And it's written in by Schmid_face. This is actually my stepmom's / her best friend's story. I have my own, but I'm so hesitant to drag some of them up. I'm hoping telling someone else's will open me up a little bit more. My stepmom didn't like us much, but she told my sister, 3 years older, and I this experience growing up to scare us out of being stupid. It was my family's stranger danger story. My stepmom, we're gonna call her Macy, grew up as a kind of privileged teen in the 70s, and her mom had moved her family over here from England when she was about 9. She went to a pretty nice high school in a really nice town. There, she made friends with a girl, Lily, who didn't exactly run with Macy's type of crowd. They really hit it off, and Lily would take Macy out to do her type of stuff. Hiking, fishing, sailing, all sorts of things like that. Anyways, because of Lily's influence, the two of them would do stuff like that a good amount. One Sunday, they decided to go on a hike in some hills about an hour away. Macy put on what I'm sure were her extremely expensive hiking boots, and the two of them drove off to the hiking trails. Lily parked in this big clearing with makeshift parking spots, but there were no other cars there. This was only important in hindsight. They started hiking up the hill off the path because Lily fancied herself something of a badass. The hike was nothing extraordinary. Anyways, she reached the top of the hill and my stepmom was done. The polished, pampered side of her was coming out, and she groaned until Lily said, okay. They would rest and then walk down together, slower. They had been heading down the hill for maybe about 10 minutes when Macy started bitching again. Lily conceded to walk down the side of the road instead of the rough hiking trail. So there they are, probably looking like a couple of tools geared up for hiking, walking down a crappy road. And after not even 5 minutes, a truck pulled up next to them. It was red and rusty and just generally looked like a clunker. The guy driving rolled down the window, and the girls looked in through the passenger's side window. He had a big beard, a baseball cap pulled down, and long brown hair. He greeted them and even smiled through his beard, asking if they needed a ride. Macy described him as charming and even cute. Lily still says the moment he greeted them, her hackles went up. Despite her better judgment, my stepmom convinced her to get into the truck. It must only be a 10-minute drive down to the car, tops. The two girls opened the passenger's door to the rusty old thing, and the guy directed them behind the seat to get into the back. They settled in and the truck started rumbling forwards. Lily always said that was the point it hit her what a mistake they had just made. The back seat was clean enough, but there was a rope on the floor behind the driver's seat, and 4 boxes of saran wrap, half hanging out from under the passenger seat. It seemed creepy and weird, but Lily didn't want to freak my stepmom out, so she kept her mouth shut. After 10 minutes, the woods didn't look any clearer, and they hadn't seen another car the whole time. Lily asked how long he thought it would be. He said he was taking a different route down the hill and had to stop somewhere to get something first. That was it. The girls were 16 and 17, and Lily didn't want to press the issue. She was scared. She can remember his hair because she was sitting behind him. He looked like a woodsy guy, but his hair was super tangled and dirty. She noticed crusted mud on his collar and tried to find something identifiable about him, but just got scared the more she picked up on little details. He was young-ish, strong-looking, and had about a foot on both of them. So they didn't ask any more questions, and they didn't offer any information, and they drove on. Several minutes after that, they reached a tiny shack, log cabin-looking place right there in a clearing of trees. There was an old stump where someone had been chopping wood and a huge axe stuck into the log. Lily was definitely on red alert now. The guy turned off the truck and slipped out of it saying, "I'll be right back. Don't get out." And he disappeared into the house. Lily tried to talk to my stepmom about how she was incredibly uncomfortable, but she mostly just dismissed it. Lily started begging, increasingly freaked out, and finally put her foot down, demanding Macy exit the truck with her. So they got out and walked around the front of the vehicle. The house was about 50 yards in front of them, and they wandered around looking at it hesitantly. If this guy really was decent and just trying to give them a ride, it would be super rude to just run off, right? My stepmom had this strict upbringing when it came to manners and a public persona, and she saw it as an issue of that nature. So she actually started to head back to the truck, opening the front door to climb in behind the driver's seat. Lily was pissed off and followed her to yell some more. On the driver's side floor, half hidden under the seat, there was a big hatchet. It had dried red-brown stains covering the blade and stuck to the floor under it. Lily understandably lost her shit, and seeing it, my stepmom started getting hysterical. They decided that leaving was by far their best option at this point and just booked it off the side of the property into the trees. They bumbled around in the trees for a little while until Lily was fairly confident they were on their way back down the hill. My stepmom cried all the way down. Lily felt bad about it, but was also completely freaked out that he would hear it and kept trying to calm her down. When they finally got back down to the bottom and saw the old wooden fence that surrounded the original parking area, they were relieved. But as they got closer, they saw it. The truck. It was parked on the other side of the gravelly makeshift lot, just sitting there, facing the other way innocently. They couldn't see if anyone was in it, and of course Macy wanted to run for the car, but Lily was super hesitant. She managed to calm my stepmom down, saying she wanted to wait before running out into the open to see what was out there. Remember, this is the 70s. No cell phones. There was no ranger station or anyone around. The parking lot was big and empty and open, and who knows what would have happened if they decided to stroll across it. Thankfully, Lily convinced my stepmom to chill, and the two of them hunkered down against a big tree, hidden by bushes and other trees, and waited it out for what seemed like a couple of hours when the dark started to fall. All the animals started coming out and making noises, and my stepmom started getting antsy about this and bothering Lily, who was tired and moments away from giving in. She was just planning their dash to the car when they heard a clunk across the twilight-lit lot. They watched as one of the back doors of the car swung open, and the bearded guy slid his way out of the back seat. He got out, shut the door, looked around at the surrounding woods for several moments, and then walked back to his truck. The truck lumbered past the car and out of sight. Several minutes after watching him drive away, they sprinted to their car as fast as they could, jumped in and peeled out before they could even shut the doors. If this guy is still alive, he's really old, but still, let's not meet. That is terrifying. I don't even know what to say. Okay, we're gonna do one more and then I've gotta be done with this because I'm getting really freaked out. Okay, so this next one is entitled, and this will be our last one that I read today, Roommate Wanted, Female Only. And this was written in by Scars and Stripes. This is a popular story with my family and most of my friends. Amanda is my brother's girlfriend. At the time of this story, she was looking for her first apartment and moving out from her parents' house. Her and my brother didn't want to move in together since they'd only dated for a few months. She opted instead to search for a roommate online. Browsing Craigslist, she found an ad titled something like Roommate Wanted, Females Only. This sort of thing was common since the area she was looking in was mostly young professionals. The listing was for a room in a house for about $225 a month, which was quite cheap compared to most places listed. The occupant listed herself as a 23-year-old college student that wasn't comfortable living with any males. The other roommate would have their own room and attached bathroom. So far, Amanda was into this place. However, the listing had a single photo from outside the property. Amanda sent an email waiting to meet the occupant and tour the house. Within 30 minutes, she received an email back with all the details and time to stop by. The girl worked late hours and wanted Amanda to stop by at 8 p.m. When Amanda arrives, there is a handwritten note on the front door saying, "Door broken, use the back door." Walking around the house, it looks nice but slightly unkept. Tall grass, weeds, dusty windows, etc. Still, no alarms for Amanda though. When she knocks on the back door and an older man opens the door, at first Amanda thinks that she's at the wrong house, but the man reassures her and says that the occupant was out and he was the landlord. The occupant asked him to meet Amanda since she was working late. He seemed pleasant and offered to show her around. Alarms started going off, but aren't at red alert yet. First, the guy was clearly in his 40s, unshaven, and looked like he had lived in his car. Also, only the kitchen light was on. As they walked around the house, Amanda noticed one huge red flag. No furniture, nothing. The landlord was polite about answering questions, but seemed irritable to keep the lights on for too long. rushing her around and only letting her look at rooms for a few moments. There was a single room that the landlord wouldn't open, telling her that it was the occupant's room and he didn't want to invade her privacy. As they walk down the hallway into the living room, she notices the front door has a plank nailed across it. Broken, for sure. Amanda's creepometer is starting to ding as she decides to wrap up the walkthrough and leave, but trying to be polite. As she's giving the guy her "thanks for the showing" bit, he perks up and states that he forgot to show her the basement. It's recently furnished and would be a great rec room, and she should take a look down there. At the time, Amanda and the landlord were standing in a small hallway between the front living room and the back kitchen. In this small hallway was the basement door. When he opens the door, it opens outward to create something of a barrier between Amanda and the back door. The basement is pitch black. He smiles, motions down the stairs, and says, "Ladies first." What happens next is nothing more than a stroke of luck. Amanda got a text just as some random person parks in front of the house. Thinking on her feet, she pretends it's a phone call and answers her phone. "Hey, yeah, are you here? I'll come out from around the back and let you in. It's great, you have to see it." With a motion of confidence, she excuses herself around the landlord and walks out the back door. She says the guy just looked at her like he was confused. Once outside, she sprinted to her car and sped like hell out of there. When Amanda got home, she told her mother and my brother everything. Cops were called, they took her statement and went to investigate. The Craigslist post had been removed. Okay, so this is the last part of it. It's the epilogue. The house had been foreclosed over 6 months earlier, and the property had been abandoned. When the police investigated, they found that the closed room the landlord didn't want her to look in was where the man had been staying. There was a pile of old dirty blankets, rotten food, and empty gallon jugs everywhere. More creepy was he had plastered ripped up pages from porno mags all over the walls of the room. The really scary part of this was the basement. The man had tied a thin piece of fishing twine at about shin level across the stairs and halfway down. The basement was empty except another pile of old blankets, a broom handle wrapped in leather belts, and a small box with a few rolls of assorted tape. Duck, electric, etc. Amanda ended up not moving in. Okay, I've got to be done. I'm panicking. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 24. I'm excited to see you guys again tomorrow for episode 25. And if you guys are loving this so far, please like and subscribe and click that notification bell so you can always get notified anytime I upload a new episode. But don't worry, I'm uploading a new one every day throughout the month of October, so you've got plenty still to come, and you could always re-listen to the ones earlier too. All right, well, until tomorrow, cheers to you, my friends. Stay spooky and stay buzzed.